Hear what I was playing, mate?
Oh, I didn't think it polite to listen, sir.
I'm sorry for that, for your sake. I don't play accurately. Anybody can play accurately. I play with wonderful expression. As far as the piano is concerned, sentiment is my forte. I keep science for life.
Yes, sir.
Speaking of the science of life, have you got the cucumber sandwiches ready and cut for Lady Bracknell? Oh, I see from your book that on Thursday night, when I was dining with Lord Shoreham and Mr. Worthing, 8 bottles of champagne are entered as having been consumed.
Yes, sir. 8 bottles and a pint.
Why is it that at a bachelor's establishment, the servants invariably drink the champagne?
I attribute it to the quality of the wine, sir. I have observed that in married households, the champagne is rarely of a first-rate brand.
Good heavens. Is marriage so demoralizing as that?
I do believe it is a pleasant state, sir. I've had very little experience of it myself up to the present, and only being married once. That is a consequence of a misunderstanding between myself and a young person.
I don't think I am much interested in your family life, though.
Oh, no, sir, not very interesting at all. I hardly think of it myself. Yes, sir.
Lagan's views on marriage seem somewhat lax. Really, if the lower orders aren't going to set us a good example, what on earth is the use of them? We seem, as a class, to have absolutely no sense of moral responsibility.
Mr. Earnest Worthing.
My dear Ernest, what brings you up to town?
Oh, pleasure. What else should bring one anywhere? Eating as usual, I see, Algy?
I believe it is customary in good society to take some slight refreshment at 5 o'clock. Where have you been since last Thursday?
In the country.
What on earth do you do there?
When one is in town, one amuses oneself. When one is in the country, one amuses other people. It is excessively boring.
How must amuse them?
Why all these cups? Why cucumber sandwiches? Why such reckless extravagance in one so young? Who's coming to tea?
Oh, merely Aunt Augusta and Gwendolyn.
How perfectly delightful.
Yes, that is all very well, but I don't think Aunt Augusta will quite approve of your being here.
May I ask why?
My dear fellow, the way you flirt with Gwendolyn is perfectly disgraceful. It's almost as bad as the way Gwendolyn flirts with you.
In love with Gwendolyn. I have come up to town expressly to propose to her.
I thought you said you had come up for pleasure. I call that business.
How utterly unromantic you are.
I really don't see anything romantic in proposing. It is very romantic to be in love. But there is nothing romantic about a definite proposal. Why, one may be accepted. One usually is, I believe. Then the excitement is all over. The very essence of romance is uncertainty. If ever I get married, I'll certainly try to forget that fact. Oh, please don't touch the cucumber sandwiches. They are ordered specially for Aunt Augusta.
I'm not eating them all the time.
Oh, that is quite a different matter. She's my aunt. And have some bread and butter. The bread and butter is for Gwendolyn. Gwendolyn is devoted to bread and butter.
Very good bread and butter is too.
Well, my dear fellow, you need not eat it as if you're going to eat it all. You behave as if you were married to her already, and I don't think you ever will be.
Why on earth do you say that?
Well, in the first place, girls never marry the men they flirt with. Girls don't think it right.
Nonsense.
It isn't. It accounts for an extraordinary number of bachelors one sees all over the place. In the second place, I don't give my consent.
Your consent?
My dear fellow, Gwendolyn is my first cousin. Before I allow you to marry her, we'll have to clear up the whole question of Cecily.
Cecily? What on earth do you mean? What do you mean, Algy, by Cecily? I don't know anyone of the name of Cecily.
Bring me the cigarette case Mr. Worthing left in the smoking room last time he dined here.
Yes, sir.
Do you mean to tell me you've had my cigarette case all this time? I wish to goodness you had let me know.
cigarette case. This cigarette case is a present from someone by the name of, Cecily. And you said you didn't know anyone of that name.
Well, if you want to know, Cecily happens to be my aunt.
Your aunt?
Yes, charming old lady she is too. Lives at Tunbridge Wells. Just get it back to me, Algy.
Yes, but why does she call herself Little Cecily if she is your aunt and lives at Tunbridge Wells?
My dear fellow, what on earth is there in that? Some aunts are tall, some aunts are not tall. That's the matter. Surely an aunt may be allowed to decide for herself. You seem to think that every aunt should be exactly like your aunt. That is absurd. For heaven's sake, just give me back my cigarette case.
Yes, but why does your aunt call you her uncle? From Little Cecily, with her fondest love to her dear Uncle Jack. There is no objection, I admit, to an aunt being a small aunt, but why an aunt, no matter what her size may be, call her own nephew her uncle? I can't quite make out. Besides, your name isn't Jack at all, it's Ernest.
It's Jack.
You have always told me it was Ernest. You, the answer to the name of Ernest, I introduced you to everyone as Ernest. You look as if your name is Ernest. You are the most Ernest-looking person I ever saw in my life. It's very absurd you're saying your name isn't Ernest. It's on your cards. Here is one of them. Mr. Ernest Worthing, B4, the Albany. I'll keep this as proof your name is Ernest if ever you attempt to deny it to me, or to Gwendolyn, or to anybody else.
Well, my name is Ernest in town, and Jack in the country, and that cigarette case was given to me in the country.
Yes, but that does not account for the small fact that your small Aunt Cecily, who lives at Tunbridge Wells, calls you her dear uncle. Now come on, boy, you'd much better have the thing out at once.
Algy, you talk exactly as if you were a dentist. It produces a false impression.
That is exactly what dentists always do. Now, go on. I may say that I suspected you of being a confirmed and secret Bunburyist, and I'm quite sure of it now.
Bunburyist? What on earth do you mean by Bunburyist?
I'll reveal to you the meaning of that incomparable expression as soon as you tell me why you are Jack in the country and Ernest in town.
Well, produce my cigarette case first.
Here it is. Now produce your explanation in prayer. Make it improbable.
My dear fellow, there's nothing improbable about my explanation at all. In fact, it's perfectly ordinary. Old Mr. Thomas Carr, who adopted me when I was a little boy, made me in his will guardian to his granddaughter, Miss Cecily Carr. Cecily, who addresses me as her uncle from motives of respect that you could not possibly appreciate, lives at my place in the country under the charge of her admirable governess, Miss Prism.
Where's that place in the country, by the way?
That is nothing to you, dear boy. You will not be invited.
I had suspected that. Now go on. Why are you Ernest in town and Jack in the country?
My dear Algy, I do not know whether you will be able to understand my real motives. You are hardly serious enough. When one is placed in the position of guardian, one has to adopt a very high moral tone on all subjects. It is one's duty to do so. And as a very high moral tone can hardly be said to conduce very much to either one's health or one's happiness, in order to get up to town, I have always pretended to have a younger brother by the name of Earnest, who lives in the Albany and gets into the most dreadful scrapes. That, my dear Algy, is the whole truth, pure and simple.
The truth is rarely pure and never simple. I was quite right in saying you were a Bunburyist. You are the most advanced Bunburyist I know.
What on earth do you mean?
You have invented a very useful younger brother called Ernest, in order that you may be able to come up to town as often as you like. I have invented an invaluable permanent invalid called Bunbury, in order that I may be able to go down to the country whenever I choose. Bunbury is perfectly invaluable. If it weren't for Bunbury's extraordinary bad health, for instance, I wouldn't be able to dine with you tonight at Willis's, for I've been really engaged to Aunt Augusta for more than a week.
I haven't asked you to dine with me anywhere tonight.
I know. You are absurdly careless about sending out invitations. Not so much as not receiving invitations.
I would much better dine with your Aunt Augusta.
I have no intention of doing anything of the kind. In the first place, I dine there on Monday, and once a week is quite enough to dine with one's own relations. Besides, now that I know you to be a confirmed Bunburyist, I naturally want to talk to you about it. I want to tell you the rules.
I'm not a Bunburyist at all. If Gwendolyn accepts me, I'm going to kill my brother. Indeed, I think I'll kill him in any case. Cecily is a little too much interested in him. It's rather a bore. So I'm going to get rid of Ernest, and I strongly advise you to do the same with Mr. With your invalid friend who has the absurd name.
Nothing will induce me to part with Bunbury, and if ever you get married, which seems to me to be extremely problematic, you'll be very glad to know Bunbury. A man who marries without knowing Bunbury has a very tedious time of it.
It's nonsense. If I marry a charming girl like Gwendolyn, she's the only girl I ever saw in my life that I would marry. I certainly won't want to know Bunbury.
Then your wife will. You don't seem to realize that in married life, 3 is company and 2 is none.
For heaven's sake, don't try to be simple. It's perfectly easy to be simple.
My dear fellow, it's not easy to be anything nowadays. There's such a lot of beastly competition about it. Oh, that must be Aunt Augusta. Only Redditors and creditors in that Wagnerian manner. Now, if I can get out of the way for 10 minutes in order that you may be able to propose to Wendy, may I dine with you tonight at Willis's?
I suppose you want to.
Yes, but you must be serious about it. I hate people who are not serious about their moves. It's so shallow.
Lady Bracknell and Miss Fairfax.
Good afternoon, Algernon. I hope you are behaving very well.
I'm feeling very well, Aunt Augusta.
That's not quite the same thing. In fact, the 2 things rarely go together.
Dear me, you are smart.
Always smart, aren't I, Mr. Worthing?
You're quite perfect, Miss Fairfax.
Oh, I hope I'm not that. That would leave little room for development, and I intend to develop in many directions.
I'm sorry we're a little late, Algernon. I was obliged to call on dear Lady Harvey. I haven't seen her since her poor husband's death. I never saw a woman so altered. She looks quite 20 years younger. And now I'll have a cup of tea and one of those nice cucumber sandwiches you promised me.
Yes, certainly, Aunt Augusta.
Gwendolyn, won't you come sit here?
Thank you, Mamma. I'm quite content where I am.
Good heavens! Rain! Why are there no cucumber sandwiches? I ordered them specially.
There were no cucumbers at the market today, and I went down twice.
No cucumbers?
No, sir, not even for ready money.
That will do, Lane. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I'm greatly distressed, Aunt Augusta, about there being no cucumbers. Not even for ready money.
Oh, it really makes no matter, Algernon. I had some comforts with Lady Harbury, who seems to me to be living entirely for pleasure now.
I hear her hair's turned quite gold from grief.
It certainly has changed its colour, though from what cause, I, of course, cannot say. Thank you. I've quite a treat for you tonight, Algernon. I'm going to send you down with Mary Farquhar. She's such a nice woman, and so attentive to her husband. It's delightful to watch them.
I'm afraid, Aunt Augusta, I shall have to give up the pleasure of dining with you tonight after all. You see, the fact is that I've just received a telegram to say that my poor friend Bunbury is dreadfully ill again. The doctors seem that I should be with him.
Oh, this Mr. Bunbury seems to suffer from curiously bad health.
Oh, yes. Bunbury's a dreadful invalid.
Well, I must say, Algernon, I think it is high time that Mr. Bunbury made up his mind whether he was going to live or to die. Shutting the question is absurd. Primary duty of life. So, I would be much obliged if you would ask Mr. Bunbury from me not to have another relapse on Saturday. I rely on you to arrange my music for me. It is my last reception, and one wants something that will encourage conversation, particularly at the end of the season, when everyone has practically said whatever they had to say, which, in most cases, was probably not much.
I'll speak to Bunbury, Aunt Augusta. He is still conscious, but I believe I can promise you he'll be all right by Saturday. Of course, the music is a great difficulty. You see, if one plays bad music, people don't listen, and if one plays good music, people don't talk. But I'll go over the program I've drawn out, if you will kindly accompany me into the next room for a moment.
Very kind of you, Algernon. I'm sure the program will be delightful after a few expurgations. Gwendolyn, you will accompany me?
Certainly, Mama. Charming day it has been, Miss Fairfax.
Pray don't speak to me about the weather, Mr. Worthing. Whenever someone speaks to me about the weather, I'm quite certain they mean something else. And that makes me so nervous.
I do mean something else.
I thought so. In fact, I am never wrong.
And I would like to be allowed to take advantage of Lady Brattle's temporary absence.
I would certainly advise you to do so. Mamma has a way of coming back suddenly into a room that I've often had to speak to her about.
Miss Fairfax, ever since I met you, I have admired you more than any girl I've ever met since I met you.
Yes, I'm quite aware of the fact. And I had hoped in public that you had been more demonstrative. You have always held an irresistible fascination to me. Even before I met you, I was far from indifferent to you. We live, as I hope you know, Mr. Worthing, in an age of ideals, and my idea has always been to marry someone by the name of Earnest. There's something in that name that inspires absolute confidence. When Algernon mentioned to me that he had a friend of the name of Earnest, I knew I was destined to love you.
You really love me, Gwendolyn?
Passionately.
Darling, you don't know how happy you've made me.
My own Ernest!
But you don't mean to say that you couldn't love me if my name wasn't Earnest?
But your name is Ernest.
Yes, I know it is, but supposing it was something else. You mean to say you couldn't love me then?
Ah, that is clearly a metaphysical speculation and has nothing to do with the actual facts of real life.
Personally, darling, to speak quite candidly, I don't really much care about the name of Earnest. I don't think the name suits me at all.
Oh, it suits you perfectly. It is a divine name. It has a music of its own. It produces vibrations.
Well, really, Gwendolyn, I must say, I think there are lots of other much nicer names. I think Jack, for instance, a charming name.
Jack. No. There is very little music in the name Jack, if any at all. I have known many Jacks, and they all, without exception, have been more than usually plain. And besides, Jack is a notorious domesticity for John, and I pity any woman who's married to a man named John. She has probably never known the entrancing pleasures of a single moment's solitude. The only really safe name is Ernest.
Gwendolyn, I must get christened at once. I mean, we must get married at once. There's no time to be lost. Married, Mr. Webb? Well, surely, you know that I love you, and you have led me to believe, Miss Fairfax, that you were not absolutely indifferent to me.
I adore you. But you have not proposed to me yet. Nothing at all has been said about marriage. The topic has not even been touched upon.
May I propose to you now?
I would certainly invite you to do so. And to save you any disappointment, I would like to let you know that I fully intend to accept you.
Dear Gwendolyn.
Yes, Mr. Worthing. What have you got to say to me?
You know what I have got to say to you.
Yes, but you don't say it.
Gwendolyn, will you marry me?
Of course I will, darling. How long have you been about it? I'm sorry to say you have very little practice in how to propose.
My own one. I have never loved anyone in the world but you.
Yes, but men often propose for practice. All my girlfriends tell me so. I hope you will always look at me just like that, especially when there are other people present.
Mr. Worthing, rise, sir, from this semi-recumbent posture. It's most indecorous.
Mamma, I must beg you to retire. Besides, Mr. Worthing is not finished yet.
You finished what, may I ask?
I am engaged to be married to Mr. Worthing, Mamma.
An engagement should come on a young girl as a surprise. Pleasant or unpleasant, as the case may be. It's hardly a matter that she can be allowed to arrange for herself. And now, Mr. Worthing, I have a few questions to put to you. While I am making these inquiries, you, Gwendolyn, will wait for me below in the carriage.
Mama!
In the carriage, Gwendolyn. Gwendolyn, the carriage! You may take a seat, Mr. Worthing.
Thank you, Lady Bracknell. I prefer standing.
I feel obliged to tell you that you are not down on my list of eligible young men. However, I am prepared to enter your name should your answers be what a really affectionate mother requires. Do you smoke?
Well, yes, I must admit I spoke.
I'm pleased to hear it. Man should always have an occupation of some kind. There are far too many idle men in London as it is. How old are you?
29.
A very good age to be married at. I've always been of the opinion that a man who desires to get married should know either everything or nothing. Which do you know?
I know nothing, Lady Bracknell.
I am pleased to hear it. I do not approve of anything that tampers with natural ignorance. Ignorance is like a delicate, exotic fruit. Touch it and the bloom is gone. The whole theory of modern education is radically unsound. Fortunately, in England at any rate, education produces no effect whatsoever. If it did, it would prove a threat to the upper classes and lead to acts of violence. What is your income?
Between 7,000 and 8,000 a year.
In land or investments?
I own a country house with some land, of course, attached to it.
A country house? How many rooms? Well, that matter can be cleared up afterwards. You have a townhouse, I hope. This girl with a simple, unspoiled nature like Gwendolyn could hardly be expected to reside in the country.
Well, I own a house in Belgrave Square.
What number in Belgrave Square?
149.
The unfashionable side. I thought there was something. However, that could easily be altered.
Do you mean the fashion or the side?
Both, if necessary, I presume. Now, to minor matters. Are your parents living?
I have lost both my parents.
Both. To lose one parent may be regarded as a misfortune. To lose both seems like carelessness. Evidently a man of some wealth.
I'm afraid I really don't know. The fact is, Lady Bracknell, I said I had lost my parents. It would be nearer the truth to say my parents seem to have lost me. I don't actually know who I am by birth. I was found.
Found.
The late Mr. Thomas Cardew, an old gentleman of a very charitable and kindly disposition, found me and gave me the name of Worthing, because he happened to have a first-class ticket for Worthing in his pocket at the time.
And where did this charitable gentleman with the first-class ticket find you?
In a handbag.
A handbag.
Yes, Lady Bracknell, I was in a handbag. A somewhat large, carpeted handbag with handles to it. An ordinary handbag, in fact.
And in what locality does Mr. Thomas Cardew find this ordinary handbag?
In the cloakroom at Victoria Station. It was given to him in mistake for his own.
The cloakroom at Victoria Station.
Yes, the bright line.
The line is immaterial, sir. Mr. Worthing, I must confess, I am somewhat bewildered by what you've just told me. To be born, or at any rate bred, in a handbag, whether it had handles or not, seems to me to display contempt for the ordinary decencies of family life. As for the particular locality in which the handbag was found, a railway station, a cloakroom at a railway station, might serve to conceal some social indiscretion. Indeed, has probably been used for such before now, but it can hardly be regarded as an assured basis for a good position in society.
May I ask you then, what would you advise me to do? I need hardly say I would do anything to ensure my happiness.
I would advise you, Mr. Worthing, to try and acquire some relations as soon as possible.
peace in my dressing room at home, I really think that should satisfy you, Lady Bracken.
Me, sir? What is it to do with me? You can hardly imagine that I and Lord Brackenwood would allow our only daughter, a girl raised with the utmost care, to marry into a cloakroom and form an alliance with a parcel. Good day, sir!
Good day! Oh, for heaven's sake, don't play that ghastly tune, Algy. How idiotic you are.
Go off all right, old boy. You don't mean to say Gwendolyn refused you?
Gwendolyn is as right as a trivet. As far as she is concerned, we are engaged. Her mother is perfectly unbearable. I never met such a gorgon. I beg your pardon, Algy. I suppose I shouldn't talk about your own aunt in that way before you.
Oh, I love hearing my relations abused. The only reason I put up with them at all. Relations are simply a tedious pack of people who haven't the remotest knowledge of how to live, nor the smallest instinct about when to die.
It's nonsense.
It isn't.
I won't argue on the matter. You always want to argue about things.
That is exactly what things were originally made for.
Oh, my word! If I thought that, I'd shoot myself. You don't suppose, Algy, there's any chance of Gwendolyn becoming like her mother in 150 years?
My dear fellow, all women become like their mothers. That is their tragedy. No man does. That's his. What about, did you tell Gwendolyn about your being Earnest in town and Jack in the country?
My dear fellow, the truth isn't exactly the sort of thing one tells to a nice, sweet, refined girl. What extraordinary ideas you have about the way to behave to a woman.
The only way to behave towards a woman is to make love to her if she is pretty, and to someone else if she's plain.
That is nonsense!
What about your brother? What about the profligate Earnest?
By the end of the week, I shall have got rid of him. I would say he died in Paris of apoplexy. Lots of people die of apoplexy quite suddenly, don't they?
Yes, my dear fellow, but it is hereditary. It's the sort of thing that runs in families. You had much better say a severe chill.
Very well then. My poor brother Ernest is carried off in Paris quite suddenly. Severe chill. That gets rid of him.
But I thought you said that Miss Card was a little too much interested in your brother. Won't she feel his loss a good deal?
Oh, that is all right. Cecily is not a silly, romantic girl, I'm glad to say. She has a capital appetite, goes long walks, and pays no attention at all to her lessons.
I'd very much like to see Cecily.
I will take very good care you never do. She's excessively pretty.
Have you told Gwendolyn that you have an excessively pretty ward?
One doesn't blurt these things out to people. Cecily and Gwendolyn are perfectly certain to be extremely great friends. I'll bet you anything you like that half an hour after they have met, they will be calling each other sister.
Women only do that when they've called each other a lot of other things first. Now, if you want to get a good deal of services, we really must go and change. Do you know it is nearly 7?
Which is always nearly 7.
Well, I'm hungry.
I never knew you when you weren't.
Miss Fairfax.
Gwendolyn, upon my word!
Algy, kindly turn round. I have something very particular to say to Miss Dwell.
Oh, Gwendolyn, I really don't think I'd allow this at all.
Algy!
You always adopt a strictly immoral attitude towards life. You're not quite old enough to do that.
My own darling.
Alice, we may never be married. And from the look on Mamma's face, I fear we never shall. Any influence I had over Mamma I lost at the age of 3. But nothing she can do can alter my eternal devotion towards you.
Dear Gwendolyn.
The story of your romantic origin as related to me by Mamma with unpleasing comments stirred the deeper fibers of my nature. Your Christian alienation incomprehensible
You may ring the bell. You will let me see to your carriage, my own one.
Of course.
I will see Miss Fairfax out.
Yes, sir.
A glass of sherry, Lane.
Yes, sir.
Tomorrow, Lane, I'm going to Bunbury. I'll need you to put up my dress clothes, my smoking jacket, and all the Bunbury suits.
Yes, sir.
I'll probably not be back till Monday.
Yes, sir.
I hope tomorrow will be a fine day, Lane.
It never is, sir.
Lane, you are a perfect pessimist.
I do my best to give satisfaction, sir.
Oh, there is a sensible, intellectual girl. The only girl I ever cared for in my life. What on earth are you so amused at?
Oh, nothing. Just anxious about my poor friend Bunbury. That is all.
You don't take care. Your friend Bunbury will get you into a serious scrape someday.
Oh, I love scrapes. They're the only things that are never serious.
It's nonsense. You never talk anything but nonsense.
Nobody ever does.